Hey everybody, it's Christian from Human Risk, and I don't normally do product reviews on this particular channel, but I'm going to make an exception for one particular product that is holiday themed and therefore relevant at this time of year. And that product is this, the Elf on the Shelf, a Christmas tradition. A tradition, I might add, that seems to have more in common with getting people to spend money and putting peer pressure on parents to buy this rather than any firm historical basis. So if you're not aware of this, you're probably wondering, what is this thing? Well, let me enlighten you, because inside this box, you get a book that gives you the background story to the Elf on the Shelf. And I'm going to read you the first chapter of this, or rather the first page of this, so you get an idea of what we're dealing with. Have you ever wondered, it says, how Santa could know if you're naughty or nice each year as you grow? For hundreds of years, it's been a big secret. It can now be shared if you promise to keep it. And then there's some helpful pictures of stereotypical children being naughty and nice. And then there's Santa with his list of naughty and nice kids. And so the idea here is that if Santa is going to deliver on the basis of whether kids have been naughty or nice, he needs some help identifying whether they have or haven't behaved in the right way. And that's where this comes in. And this is a boy version of the elf. There are also girl versions available. And the idea being that you have this in your home. You basically put it somewhere where it can observe the kids, presumably a shelf as a good starting point, hence the name. And then magically at night, it disappears, goes off to the North Pole to report back to Santa on whether the kids it is observing have been naughty or nice. In the morning, it magically reappears somewhere else and the kids have to go find it and see what it's been up to overnight. So harmless fun, you might think, and some people have taken this quite literally to be some harmless fun. You've got plenty of adults buying one of these and putting their elf in interesting positions and taking photographs and putting on Instagram. So no harm in that whatsoever, but from a kid's perspective, I think this is awful. This guy and his partners are basically modern versions of the Stasi, the East German police that used to spy on the population. And I think this is a really terrible way of getting kids to think about moral and ethical issues, because what it's basically saying is you need to behave because you are being spied upon and being reported back to some mysterious authority who will then decide whether you are entitled to receive a reward or implicitly punishment if you haven't. Now that's quite terrifying for young kids. It's also not particularly helpful because children need instant feedback on things. They're not very good at thinking longer term. And so you've got this mysterious idea of this thing that arrives, disappears, spies on you, reports back on you, and you have no way of knowing particularly how you're doing. Also, strangely, you're not allowed to touch the elf as part of this magical mystery. Its magical powers disappear, which also seems slightly strange to me. And so I think this is quite an oppressive regime. It basically says to kids, behave in the right way because we're watching you, not behave in the right way because it's the right thing to do. And the reason I'm raising this particular issue isn't just because I want to ward people off from buying this awful thing. And by the way, psychologists agree with me. There are plenty of reviews saying similar sorts of things, but it's actually to point out that companies often do the same thing. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't monitor what employees are up to. That's very important, particularly in certain industries where you need to know what's going on. And of course, that does act as a deterrent. But if your primary way of motivating people is just by the fact that they're being observed and you haven't built a culture where they are intrinsically motivated, then that behavior is forced. It's what you might call North Korean in style. And you're not going to get the sorts of decision making that you really want when it really matters, when no one is actually watching. So for those reasons, I think the Elf on the Shelf is a terrible creation. It should go back on the shelf where it belongs. And this particular guy is going right back to the 21st century equivalent of the North Pole, which is back to Amazon where he came from. And hopefully he won't darken anyone else's door in the festive season. Thank you so much for watching this video. More holiday themed Human Risk videos to come. Hope you've enjoyed watching it. Do check out the newsletter and the podcasts if you haven't already checked those out. And I'll see you very soon on another one of these. Thanks for watching.